Roberta Winters, president of the League of Women Voters of Radnor Township. As many of you probably have figured out, with a name like the League of Women Voters, we care about voting. As a result of the passage of the 19th Amendment that provided women the right to vote, we were founded to register women and to educate them about how our government works. That was 100 years ago. Voter service continues to be at the heart of the League of Women Voters to make sure everyone can vote without restrictions or any kind of impediments. With the primary election slated for June 2nd, I asked Jamie Mogil, a lawyer who is presently voter service chair of the Lower Merion League of Women Voters, and to share her expertise on the subject. She's been election protection director for Pennsylvania. She's led Fair Districts, PA, resolutions process, and has had many other ventures that make her very qualified to speak and make sure that everyone and every vote counts. However, unlike her other visits regarding voter legislation in Harrisburg and the impact of Act 77 on our elections, our interview today is being conducted through Zoom during the coronavirus of 2020 through the auspices of Mainline TV. Welcome, Jamie. It's great to have you, be it all remote.
Yeah, this is, thanks so much, Roberta, and thanks to Mainline TV. This is really unprecedented times that we're doing this via Zoom, but I also think it'll be great because I can share my screen, and a lot of the things we'll talk about today, I can actually show you via the internet right as we're talking. So hopefully everybody's home, they're safe, they're healthy, and of course they can go right online and apply for, not only register, but apply for a mail-in ballot, which we'll talk about.
That's great, Jamie. Certainly a lot has happened since the passage of Act 77. Could you fill us in about Act 77 again for those who may have missed our previous conversation?
Yeah, Act 77 were the first voting reforms that we've had in Pennsylvania in nearly 80 years. And that was only just a couple months ago. I know it seems like a lifetime has happened since the corona pandemic. But this is really great because I'm actually going to be able to share my screen with you. So there may be some technical glitches, but I'm going to share with you a PowerPoint so we can go over quickly some of these great reforms that Pennsylvania has. So I'm going to share my screen. So under Act 77, these new voting reforms, mail-in voting, it couldn't have come at a better time for Pennsylvania. Before, we really only had absentee voting, which was limited to an excuse of why you would be absent from your area on voting day. But now you don't need an excuse. Anybody and everybody who's registered to vote can now apply for a mail-in ballot. And now we actually went from worst to first, something that's great. We can apply for this mail-in ballot 50 days prior to the election. And we also have more time to return that mail-in ballot. And that's by 8 p.m. It must be received by 8 p.m. on election day. And then we also have the ability, now I say this with a caveat because of course we're in unprecedented times with the coronavirus, but prior to the coronavirus, we were allowed and will be allowed to vote early in person right at your county election offices. So if you apply maybe in person for that application for a mail-in ballot, you can actually vote right there and submit your ballot at your county election offices. So really important, though, to make sure that you're keeping up to date with whether these offices are open for that mail-in ballot, and things will be in flux. We'll be talking about that too, but really important that anybody and everybody can vote by mail right now. One other thing is that straight party voting, along with Act 77 and these great reforms that expand voter access, is the fact that straight party voting, which it means that your candidate from a particular party, you could just press one button or fill in one bubble that would allow you to vote for every candidate candidate of that particular party. Now you can no longer do that, but I think we'll be okay because we'll be informed through great resources like the League's Vote 411. So you'll be prepared with your ballot. And so really, it's very important to know, go online right now, votespa.com. We'll be going through the website shortly to talk about how easy it is to apply for a ballot.
That's really helpful, Jamie. And I know in addition to Act 77, the legislature recently passed Act 12 just a few weeks ago. What does this do?
Sure. Well, Act 12, just last month, it was passed because it's really important to note that while we do have these great reforms that happen with Act 77, well, now with the coronavirus, think about, we've seen other states like Wisconsin that had to vote, and it really puts our health and our safety at risk because this is a widely spread virus without a vaccine. So we want to make sure that people aren't choosing between their health and safety and voting. So I'm going to share another slide with you. And this is really highlighting some of these new changes. Just go to the next slide, which really the most important one is that the dates are changing now. So our election is no longer April 28th, but will be June 2nd. So you see that there at the bottom there. And that also, and this is right from the votespa.com website. Now that also changes the dates. Act 77 made some important deadline changes. And that means instead of 30 days prior to election day to register to vote, we now have 15 days before an election day. So we have more time to make sure we can both register as well as apply for that absentee ballot. The last day to apply is May 26th. So because June 22nd changed as our election day, that pushed back all the other deadlines. So now we have until May 18th again to register. Very easy. You see the website right there. And then May 26th to apply for that mail-in or absentee ballot. And June 2nd, very key, is election day. But some other changes that happened with Act 12, I'm going to stop sharing this and get back to my face. Very important is early in-person voting. We know that there are, again, some health concerns. So with Act 12, the legislature made sure that counties can consolidate polling locations. So it's really important to look up your polling location. So specifically, senior centers. We know that our elder population is the most at risk. Unfortunately, the majority of deaths that have happened due to coronavirus have been in our elder population. I know that I worry. My dad lives at an assisted living facility. We want to make sure that no voting happens at those locations. So this allows the counties to consolidate polling locations to also cut down on traffic. So some people, they still want to vote in person, and that's surely something they may be able to do. It just may not be at the regular polling location. So we should find that out from the counties. And I know the state has now put out a very big ad campaign about making sure you're aware. I mean, I think over 4 million postcards were sent out to let people know about that June 2nd primary date. Also really important, if you already applied for a mail-in ballot, you cannot take that ballot in person. Okay, very important for the primary. You cannot take that ballot in person. That is your vote, okay? You must send that in. However, Act 12 made sure that come the general election, and hopefully things will be a bit better now and we might not have the restrictions we have now, that you can take your mail-in ballot, have it canceled out, and vote in person. But again, that is only for the general election. If you apply for a mail-in or absentee ballot, you must use it for the primary election.
Wow, there's a lot of things that have happened, Jamie.
Yes.
So as I understand it, we can vote by mail. We have extended deadlines for registration, applications for mail-in and absentee ballots, as well as submitting ballots to the County Board of Elections. By mail or in person, we can always do in person. And also people who have applied for absentee or mail-in ballots for the primary can actually have to use those. and do not have the option of voting at their polling places for the primary election only. And at those polling places that they've used to go to might not be available to serve them now because they may be in a location that's unacceptable. So the county boards of election are actually consolidating polling places, so it's important that people double check where they're going to vote if in fact they choose to vote by person. So, is there anything else I missed?
I'll say one important thing that is great, and I applied very quickly. It takes a matter of seconds, not even minutes, to get your mail-in ballot. Is now we have the option to choose to get it year-round. So you don't have to choose this, but when you're, and I'm going to show this online to you. I don't know if we'll quite get to that point because I'm not going to fill it out again. But online, you have the option to choose to get it for an entire year. So I don't need to redo the application come the primary or come the general election, right? I'm going to automatically get my ballot when it comes in November. So for the November election. So you have that option too. So these are really important changes and reforms because it makes voting accessible. And we know when voting is accessible and fair, we have a more engaged electorate, which is what we want.
Well, I'm really glad you talked to me about these changes, but you keep talking about the website and going online. And, I'm just not too clever about all this online stuff. So I'm sure there are probably other people who may have that same handicap. Can you take a minute and go through it with us?
Sure. Well, this is the beauty that we are on Zoom right now. So I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to go right to votespa.com and talk about how easy it is to go online to register to vote, check your registration, or even apply for a mail-in or absentee ballot. Okay, well, this is a different screen. One moment. Okay, votespa.com. As I like to call it, the Vote Spa. It's a really good way to remember it, the Vote Spa. So you can see up here, votespa.com, very easy. And look, what's right away that they're highlighting is the mail-in and absentee ballots, how quickly it is to apply online. But before we get to that, I'm going to scroll down because this toolbar here is really great. The first thing, you want to make sure you're registered to vote. Our requirements to register for vote haven't changed. You must be a U.S. citizen, a PA resident for at least 30 days before Election Day, and 18 on or before Election Day. So really important to consider now that our election date has been pushed out, many more high school students may be 18 by Election Day, so we want to include them. And this registration online, one of the things that has come up is that you need an actual pen.id, like a driver's license. And if you don't have a pen.id, you can use the last four numbers of your social security to register to vote. I'm just going to click on that so you can see. And it gives you all this information here as to registering, filling in that information. Right now, the website at the Department of State, it does have a bit of a snafu that if you don't have a pen.id and you'd like to put in your social security number, you don't actually have the ability to do that right now on the website. Now, I don't want people to be discouraged from registering to vote. It's as simple as printing out the form and sending it in, which you can do. But if you don't have a printer, you can also call your county board of elections. We're going to put up that for Delco and Monco, the areas we're talking about. But you can also get all of this information about your county voter services office right on the Votes PA website. I don't know why it won't let me go back. It wants me to register, but I already am. So we're going to go to votespa.com. Back to the website. So that's to register to vote, but you can also check your registration status. Maybe you haven't voted in a while, which is unfortunate, but hey, you're getting engaged again. So you want to make sure that you're registered. So you can do that either by finding your registration status by your name or by what you use to register, which is that driver's license. And again, if you have issues doing this online, don't be discouraged because again, you can call your county board of elections, which are very because again, our counties administer our elections. So Delco may have different means of registering people online, like maybe they take all that information on the phone, but they'll also send you out a paper copy if you don't have the ability to print. Okay, so again, don't be discouraged if you don't have a printer, if you're not so good at doing things online. And that's right here I'm going to go to the right on the menu bar. And that's where you can find your county election offices. But at the end of this, I'm also going to put the numbers for Monco and Delco. So it's as simple as putting your county and finding that. All of this is really a one-stop shop resource here for registering, checking your registration status. And then now the real crux of why I'm pushing this is we really need to make sure that people vote, and that they have the ability to do that now by mail-in and absentee. Again, that's no excuse mail-in. People are a bit confused about the absentee and mail-in ballot, why we have both. Well, long story short, the absentee, the excuse part of why what we had before is part of our state constitution. So that has a very rigorous and arduous process for removal of that. So what the legislature did is they just expanded upon that by adding everybody, no excuse, mail-in ballot. So when you go to apply online, and you'll see here, they give you a nice explanation. This is the language we previously had as to having an excuse to vote. And really great, when you go to apply here, it will actually prompt you to answer questions. Are you a college student? Are you a person in the military overseas? Do you have a disability? But don't freak out because, again, it's very simple. They're administered the same way. You apply for it, your application goes in, you receive a confirmation email that it would be sent to your county board of elections. And now you can even track it, which I'll show you in a minute. But again, the mail-in and absentee, they're administered the same way, very easy. I'm going to emphasize that over and over and over. But if you can't do this online, because I'm looking here at the online process, okay, you can also call your county board of elections and they will certainly send you a application to register for this mail-in or absentee ballot. So I think I've covered most of it. Again, votespa.com, great resource. And this is just prompting you to start the process for a mail-in ballot.
Well, Jamie, I certainly learned a lot. But since the libraries and the schools are closed, I think would really be helpful if we had that number for the Board of Elections, because sometimes when I get stuck on the computer, that phone number is where I'm going to go. Can you pull that up for us?
I'm going to pull it up right now. Again, you have that option to find it via Google, but also on the Votes PA website. But we also have it here for you. These were just some of the Act 12 voting reforms we discussed. But here's your local county voter services. So Roberta, League of Women Voters, Radnor, that's in Delaware County. I'm in Lower Merion, Narberth, which is Montgomery County. These are the phone numbers for you. But votespa.com, you can find that link to your county voter services offices, as well as, the all trusty Google.
Great. That's really helpful, Jamie. There's something that's come up because we have some student members in Radnor who went on to college. And what they did is they applied for an absentee ballot when they were in school in California, but now they're back home and they don't have this, it might be mailed to California, but they're back with their folks. What do we do for them?
Well, that's a great, another thing that's come up because of the coronavirus, which is really to make sure that people know you can still cancel that ballot or change your address. It's as simple. Now each of the counties, again, because our counties administer our elections, have different requirements. So it's really important that if you're in Delco, particularly for the Radnor League, if they're calling you and they're asking about Delco, I'm going to share another slide with you. But again, don't worry about memorizing all of this. If you just call your county board of elections, I'm sure they'll run it through with you. But I'm going to share this this slide with you so that you see that if you want to cancel or change your absentee ballot, you absolutely can do that. Remember, that's up until May 26th. So in Delco, you're going to email your date of birth, your previous address that you requested. So you had it sent to you in California at school, as Roberta gave an example. But you're going to put your new address, and that maybe you don't want to have it sent to your address anymore, but you want to vote in person. So you can actually put that you want to cancel your ballot, and then you're going to sign it because you want to make sure that your signature matches your application for the ballot. So then you're going to email it to that email address there. Monco, a bit easier. They have a form which is on the Monco, and I put Monco PA there, one word, because that's actually the Monco website. And they have a form under forms in the menu, and you're going to fill out similar information to either cancel or change the address for your absentee ballot.
Thanks, Jamie. That'll certainly help a lot of kids. Now, we all know how important it is to vote for every election. And as though you mentioned, we have closed primaries in Pennsylvania. So if you do want to vote in the primary this year, you may want to change your party affiliation, because if you're an independent or you're a Green Party member, you really don't have the option to vote in a primary unless there's something like a ballot referendum on it. So can people still change their party affiliation, like become a Republican or Democrat, or change from one to the other? Still, is that possible?
Yes, absolutely. I know, unfortunately here, we at the League, we push for open primaries, which I will continue to push for. But if you really want to be engaged and you want to vote for Democrat or Republican, because that is the system that we have here in Pennsylvania currently, you can still change your registration. Again, going back to that votespa.com website and go to registration, and you can update your registration. It actually has an option to change your party affiliation as opposed to changing your address or registering for the first time. It will actually prompt you for that specific change.
Is there something else about the upcoming elections that people who are voting need to know? I know we might have to change our polling place. We might want to do it online. But is there anything else that's big news?
Big news is all new voting machines. So if you heard us talk before, specifically when we were in the studio talking about voting reforms, big changes coming. Montgomery County already has their new machine. All 67 counties will have new voting machines. And that's really because, again, under Act 77, we are pushing for a paper trail, a voter verified paper trail. Hard to believe, but Pennsylvania had no way of auditing its elections prior to the use of all these machines. So if you're in Delco, you will be using now a hand-marked paper ballot process. So if you do vote in person, it's as simple as filling in the little bubbles and putting it through a scanner. But even better, I'm going to go back to that Votes PA website, because you can actually see demos of the new voting machines. So I'm going to show you that really quickly.
Wait, Votes PA has everything.
Yes, it's really, again, this one-stop shop for voting in Pennsylvania. All right, so we're back on the Votes PA website, and it's just, you go up here to voting in PA. And so this is just a resource for everybody, some of the things that I talked about before, but I'm gonna head down here to voting system demos, which is really cool because maybe you're unsure, even though I'm telling you it's as simple as filling in a bubble, but you really wanna see it for yourself before you go, and you're gonna pick your county. So in this case, Delaware County will be using these new machines for the first time in this primary. So we click here, and this also gives you the resource, the information for your voter services office, the Board of Elections in Delco. And so we're going to click here, learn more about the Delaware voting system. And this is a hand-marked paper ballot system. And it tells you all about how easy it is. You get your ballot, you fill in the bubbles, you review your selections, and then this is the scanner here, the submit your ballot option. Now, other people who are using ballot marking devices, this is a bit different. Philadelphia County, for example, they have a touch screen where they push this and then they get a ballot. But I think we're pretty lucky here, especially given Corona, that we won't be touching anything other than our own ballot.
Wow, that's really great, Jamie. As former vice president of the state league, I know you realize we don't support or endorse candidates. So we've told people how to get their ballots. But, sometimes you need to find out about the people that you're actually going to vote for. How would I find more about the candidates who are going to be on the ballot at the primary on June 2nd?
Another incredible resource for the league is this Vote 411, which I'm going to show you quickly here. And it's vote411.org. Go back to the PowerPoint and show you this slide. Because Vote 411, it's a nonpartisan resource all about the candidates. You can actually have a link to the registration to that Votes PA website, his ballot information, and it also can update you on your polling place locations. Just another incredible resource that the league provides, that you have this nonpartisan candidate information and you can prepare your ballot before you even go to vote or fill out your absentee or mail-in ballot.
Well, Jamie, I'm afraid we've given so much information. It's time for us to wrap up already. But I really want to thank you for joining us today. And I really would like to welcome all of those and thank those in our audience who've joined us to watch our interview via Zoom during this Corona crisis of 2020. We all hope our viewers have committed to Votes PA to their long-term memory, and also our vote411.org to their website. For candidate information, remember, everyone, your vote is your voice. And thanks to Mainline TV, all of you will be better able to exercise that option without any impediments. You can vote early, you can vote off only once, and you can let your vote be counted on June 2nd. Encourage your friends and neighbors to do the same. Thank you again to our audience, to Jamie, and to Mainline TV for this opportunity to help everyone exercise their right to vote.